A wife? A son?
And then what?
We won the war. Help me go home.
This is a household waiting for master. I want you to choose me.
Ithaca's king is coming back.
No, he's not.
Hello and welcome to this What Do You Want to Watch Spoilercast for Christopher Nolan's latest film, The Odyssey. I'm Ashley Hobley, and joining me from Melbourne Domestic Airport is Dylan Blight.
Good to be here. A first. There's always a first. Dedication
Yeah, I think
is what I call it.
I think this is one of the first ones we've recorded on location
We've done on location,
outside of like
and they usually
hotel
go
rooms,
terribly.
Yeah, that's true.
The last time we tried to do on location, it was me and Kieran at an esports event, and it went terribly. So
Was
hopefully
that
this goes
after the
better.
one we did together at an esports event
No,
during a
that was
panel?
the one.
That was the
no,
one. Okay.
that was after
Was the
that
second
actually.
one?
So that was the last one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, so today we're talking about The Odyssey, obviously the biggest film possibly of the year, like one of the most anticipated films just because of Christopher Nolan's pedigree and, you know, the star-studded cast of this film and all that kind of stuff. So let's just dive straight in. Actually, before we get started, you obviously went and saw it in IMAX. You bought your tickets, as we've talked about on other podcasts 12 months ago, to see it 11 o'clock on IMAX in Melbourne, crossing state lines, crossing seas to go see this movie. Talk to me about the experience of seeing it in IMAX.
Yeah, it was. Well, it was packed. Obviously, it's sold out. You cannot access a 70mm screening at all. The next one you can book is the normal IMAX laser screenings. They're still available next week, I think. I think they're like booked out for a while, but all the 70mm ones are gone. So, I mean, I was reading, as I said, I think I mentioned this the other day. I can't remember, or I said it off podcast. I don't remember. Anyway, I was reading that apparently someone caught wind of this German couple flying down to watch it in Melbourne. And like saw a news story about that because it being the only cinema in the Southern Hemisphere that has the 70mm option. So the Melbourne IMAX is the only one doing that. So
they flew from Germany?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I would have to look up logistically where the next closest one is, and maybe it's cheaper. Maybe they just turned it into a trip
Holiday?
anyway.
Yeah, like we were going to go to
base-
Australia, might as well.
make it part
Make
of
it part
this
of the
or
trip,
something like
yeah.
that. Yeah.
It's like see the Opera House, see
do
the
the whole
Odyssey in
thing.
IMAX.
Yeah, why not? There's lots of news people in there, ABC 7 or 10, someone else. They kept pulling people out of the line for the confectionery and like pulling them over, and like they were set up at like 3 different spots in the auditorium area, like
With like
recording.
Vox Pops.
Vox Pops, yeah, Vox Pops. You know, the same questions for all. It's like, why are you here? We're excited, you know, like whatever. I'm sure it's cut down to 30-second clip later or whatever. But yeah, it felt big. It felt eventful, I guess. Would be the main thing. And then obviously got your my fancy little ticket thing that you can I'll frame or something. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. That says basically, I can't remember what it says on top of it, but it's like first screening, you know, the time, the first screening of at 11 a.m. and whatever. So that's kind of cool. I've got this A3 print as well I picked up that was exclusive to there was 2 offer prints that you could just get, and then there was the print I got said it was exclusive to IMAX in Melbourne. So I'm like, well, I'll get that one because that one's rarer, I guess. So also, I wonder if that'll come through on the find out. But you know, these
I would have
guests
to
need to
assume
get
so.
to their place. Wait for them to finish. But yes, it was. I would say if you want to get watching it on the IMAX thing question out of the way. I started trying to write my review on the Skybus back to the airport, whip out the laptop, get to work, dedicated, Here I am on the bus, laptop, here I am recording at the
Airport, yes.
airport. But I think, like, it's really good, obviously. I think it's, like, expected to be good, right? It's like, hey, the whole film shot in 70, in IMAX cameras.
IMAX.
But then my question I couldn't help but think about for the next few hours afterwards, before I went to a different movie, was that it's nearly, I don't know, is it too much? Because my thing is, usually when you go watch something in IMAX movie, it's like, even Nolan stuff, it's like a mixture of, it's like the IMAX cameras come out for the big shit, And then I was like, is having the entire thing, I don't want to say ruin, but it's like, is it too much of a good thing? Like, to the point that I was trying to think about even the idea of watching this in a normal cinema screen, like you watched it. I'm like, I'm just going to have such a high bar now that even if I go watch it, if I went and rewatch it at the cinema, or if I wait and I rewatch it at home, I'm like, I have just now had the full, the 100% way it's meant to be watched sort of thing. And now, and considering it's all shot in IMAX, it's like different if you go watch, like, I don't know, say you watch The Dark Knight or some shit and you see where it switches between the scenes and you watch the Blu-ray at home and it switches before. It's like you're missing a little bit. Or even, say you watch Dune and there's some shots in that are sort of annoyingly cut off that you can pick up on because they were the IMAX shots and they just don't look quite as good when you're watching them at home, because they're just framed for IMAX. So now I'm just wondering, like, now that I've seen it, I'll notice it more, whereas maybe you wouldn't have, like, because there's just so many, like I'm seeing head to toe body constantly, or not constantly, but quite a lot in the framing and everything. And now, I couldn't help but just keep thinking, I'm like, okay, if I take that and that, you're watching it like this. And the question is, how much does that add? And it's like, well, not a lot, because I'm just saying, but it's like, what of...
How much does it take out is probably the question.
Yeah, it's just like I've viewed it in such a different way.
Well, I guess we'll have to get your opinion when you do eventually watch it in normal format, I guess. Yeah, obviously I watched it, in normal cinema. I watched for Brisbane people at the Newmarket reading cinema, Titan Lux. I wanted to make sure I had the most comfortable possible chair for 3 hours.
I'll say the one downside is IMAX seats aren't comfortable.
No.
They just cram the seats.
That's it. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to the cinema 11 o'clock on a Thursday. I would say it was a pretty good sized crowd, considering the time slot, and most people, I would imagine, are at work, working normal 9-to-5 jobs. So, everybody was spread out, but still, there was a good showing. At least all rocking up at the concession stand right before the movie was about to open up. So, let's get into the actual movie. Please be aware, we'll be really discussing anything and everything about plot themes in the movie. So, if you haven't watched it, come back later. It is in cinemas now at time of recording. With that said, let's talk about The Odyssey, directed by Christopher Nolan, screenplay by Christopher Nolan, based on Homer's Odyssey, starring Matt Damon, Anne Hathaway, Tom Holland, Robert Pattinson, Lupita Nyong'o, Samantha, Morton, Zendaya, and Charlize Theron, as well as a whole cavalcade of other people. Odysseus, the legendary king of Ithaca. That sounds right. Embarks on a long and perilous journey home following the Trojan War. Throughout his voyage, he is forced to confront the whims of gods, mythological monsters, and trials that stretch both his cunning and his humanity to the breaking point. Dylan, what did you think of The Odyssey?
I really, really liked it. I think it's it fits into the scale of how everyone says that Hollywood doesn't make epics anymore, and that's yes, they don't. And this sort of fits into that, basically that genre. I can't, like, you try and think of the last time that they did anything of this scale and story structure, and it's in particular because obviously it's Homer's Odyssey, which is like the basis of the hero's journey. It's just literally the biggest version that you've ever seen of pretty much in that regard, the biggest version of this every movie and every story you've ever seen before, sort of thing, you know? So, I think the downsides to that are it is a several thousand-year-old story, or however old
Hmm.
it is. And because of that, it leads with some things to be desired. I think the standout of which is that the female characters are basically non-existent. I think that's the biggest negative. I think Anne Hathaway's Penelope.
Yep.
Trying to this older character. She's the easiest one to remember.
Yes.
Yeah. Not all these other weird names. I'm gonna have to look up as we go. I think she gets like one monologue towards the end of the film that rightfully points out, you know, she could have just been on the throne for the last 20 years. If the structure.
I mean, she is what she said. You know.
Yeah, but she wasn't like officially. You know what I mean? Like she wasn't. She's
Yeah.
not allowed to be.
She wasn't considered the
reigning
ruler.
power or whatever, the ruler. So it's like you can't really fault it because it's like adapting the story of which it is, but the story of which it is does lead the female characters to lead much to be desired for. I think Lupita Nyong'o is really fucking good, and she has one moment in the movie where the look on her face, I think, is some of the best acting in the whole movie, and I think that says a lot solely for what she can do in such a short time. And I even think like Zendaya is really good and everything, but all these characters get the least amount of time to do anything. I think also it's like an odd mix of things that I still can't decide. Like I love the movie, I can't wait to watch it again. I'm just sitting at let me preface this by saying I'm deciding if this movie is like a 9 or a 10 with some of the criticisms sort of discussion point here, not if it's a 6 or a 8 sort of thing. I think there's obviously the stuff that's been brought up before prior to the movie coming in, like Nolan's choice about certain things, including like modernizing. It's like got modern English language, which I didn't mind too much. But then there's other like weird things that stand out. It's like even older actors, as you sort of mentioned, it's like a cavalcade of who's who thrown at the screen. That's nearly weird. And then I even think some of the people just stand out as odd stunt casting sort of choices a little bit. And then I think Matt Damon is fucking fantastic. And I think he's both odd casting and perfect casting, because I think the perfect casting part is he's really good at playing this character, which is just the everyman that you could root for, which works for a character that you're rooting to come for. However, at all points in the movie, he felt like he didn't belong in it to me. It's just like a weird mix of things. Like he just doesn't look like the guy that would lead the Trojan horse. You know what I mean? It's just, and that's just me being like, it's Matt Damon. I just can't. I'm struggling. But then so it's like at times I'm struggling with it, but then at other points I'm like, it's perfect casting because he is like such an everyman, everyone likes him sort of guy that you can quickly get behind. There's some other things that like lead me to want more. Like I felt like Tom Holland was fine, but didn't, like I never rooted for him. Was another problem I sort of had. And again, I think a lot of these things just come back for the basis of the film rather than the Nolan's adaptation in particular. Otherwise, it is a 3-hour movie that goes by super fast, in my opinion. I never felt like big drag. I think that, and the points to that go to the editing. It's the same editor that did Oppenheimer, and it just does this magical, it's like a gentle hand just guiding you between these scenes that otherwise should feel super jarring to switch between constantly as you're like jumping between past, present, different characters on the other side of the world, blah, blah, blah. But it's just some, that magic touch just slightly guides you without it feeling weird that you're going all over the place or feeling like you have no fucking idea what's going on currently. Score's fantastic. The bass is bassing.
Was your cinema rumbling as well? Or was your seat shaking?
Oh yeah. It's a bass heavy mother, this one, you know, which Nolan loves, and we know that. If he's not working with Zimmer, he finds someone else that does the bass. I can see the thing is, I think the thing that's most interesting to me about it, and nearly, I think it could have been, I think that the what would have made it a better film is if he went full on in this. It's like this feels like an odd pairing to Oppenheimer, where Oppenheimer is again a story about a man who sort of unleashes, is like obsessed with something. He's too smart for his own good, and then his smartness releases hell on earth. And then like this movie goes down a sort of similar story path where it's like Odysseus is really smart, finds his way to get in with the Trojan horse. But then by the end of the movie, it's like this realization that like he sort of broke all codes, and pretty much, you know, when it's like it's revealed he's the people coming out of the water or the water people or whatever, you know, it's like he's completely now uncorked this thing that can't be put back into the bottle and change the world in a way that will never go back, which is the same sort of structure / elements that Oppenheimer was playing around with. So, I think the film does enough to point those elements out. And here he does more than he did with Oppenheimer in having Odysseus sort of come to terms with that and explore that. Whereas a complaint a lot of people had about Oppenheimer is he never really, like, you see him lose everything by the end of that movie. And, like, you see the realization of what he's done, but you never see him sort of come to terms with it. I think is a complaint that people
feel
have for
anything
that
about
movie.
it.
Feel anything about it. Whereas I do think
Well,
that
outside
at
of
least
that
you get
one
to see.
moment,
Yeah, but I think at least the last act of this movie, Odysseus does get to have that. I sort of wish the story was structured a little bit more around that. But again, I just think that's, again, it's just like he's tweaking the core Homer narrative, not fully changing it completely. But I do think it adds a lot more to this and weirdly pairs it just well with as a follow-up to Oppenheimer.
Yeah, I picked that up as well. Like, this is a really interesting, like, look at the same kind of character, I guess, throughout history. Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it as well. I also have, like, minor critiques. I think there are a lot of moments where Nolan just the characters outright say a lot of the meaning behind what they did, rather than actually showing you during the movie. I mean, more specifically, the Odysseus, like, outright saying, the moment in Troy is why I didn't want to come home, because I was changed by the ransacking there and how I had broken Zeus's law or whatever, and the guilt I feel about that is why I don't feel like I can come home. Without him actually saying that, you would never have guessed, I don't think. And as well as
on that, it's just, I think that pairs it with the doing the modern English thing. It's like I don't think he's like super dumbed down the plot, but he's tried to make it as accessible as literally this story that most people deemed impossible to like adapt. And it's been done before, obviously, with Kirk Douglas. Was it Kirk Douglas? I think so. But it's like it's a story that people deem impossible to bring to the screen and stuff. But I think between the language change and then having people say this stuff that you're saying, you can tell, and then the casting and making it like super star-studded, he's trying to make this as accessible and as a modern American audience film as you could in 2026.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's probably, I think it's just he wants to make it as big as possible, and like I'm sure we'll get to the casting and that kind of stuff a little bit deeper later, but I just kind of really enjoyed the structure of the movie. Like, obviously the Odyssey is famous for being like one of the first non-chronologically told stories in history, because obviously Odysseus gets found and then retells the events of Troy and all that within the story. So I enjoyed all that, and like it was really well put together because it never felt like you didn't understand where it was in the story and that kind of stuff. I also, you said before about it being a really old story. I think that was also a thing against it, where a lot of other stuff has either used specifically characters from this or that kind of thing before, so it feels a little bit like you've seen these elements before. Like like when the Cyclops shows up, I'm like, oh, that's the fucking Cyclops from Hades too. He loves them sheep. That kind of stuff. So having this story proliferate through modern, media, I guess, has kind of made the story, not feel super unique. But I think, Matt Damon is really fantastic in this. I think Anne Hathaway is really great with what she has the opportunity to do. I think there are some really fantastic scenes. I mean, her big outburst with Tom Holland is one of the better ones. I think this might be one of the better things that Tom Holland's done outside of Spider-Man. Not that is a very high bar, sorry, but and then Robert Pattinson, is such a good villain. Just a guy you want to see.
Such a good guy you just want to see get slapped in the face.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other casts, John Leguizamo, he was such a great surprise in this as the blind, loyal friend. Simply fantastic.
I think he potentially, I think he's another standout, and I think he potentially could be the next Robert Downey Jr. in that Nolan leads someone else to a supporting. Because I don't think Matt Damon's going to win for lead actor for this. Not saying
I don't think he'll win. I think he'll be nominated. Would be my guess.
But I don't think he has a chance to win. However, I do think John Leguizamo has a chance to win, and that would be this whole Nolan just leads people to. You'd rather be a supporting actor in a Nolan movie than a lead.
I think the fact that he's so good with supporting characters is the reason that we've got this star-studded cast. I guess touching on that, I just was looking at ABC review of the film, and they're one of their major critiques was that all these star-studded actors are wasted in this movie. I think that is incredibly rude. There are no small parts is the thing, and I think everybody signed on knowing that they weren't necessarily going to be the center of the story. I think Lupita Nyong'o, she's in 5-6 scenes. She's great in
probably
them.
A total of 2 minutes, and I think
maybe
she's one of the best parts of the movie.
3-4 minutes, yeah, she's fantastic. The murder scene, and then the final good when she's whispering into Holland's ear about being sorry for all the events, or when the first reveal of her face. I think all that is really fantastic, and I think obviously there's been a lot of controversy about one, nobody's Greek, two, the variety of different diverse colors and creeds in the cast. I think it's interesting how they kind of shaped Helen of Troy. It didn't really, her being the most beautiful woman in the world was not an important plot point. Her being taken to Troy was seen as just an excuse to have a war with Troy. And that's how the thing shapes it. And obviously our own history has informed Helen of Troy as this character who was incredibly beautiful, but she was just a woman that was a pawn in a bigger plot in this film. I think that's a really interesting take. Elliot Page, I think, is good. I think it's going to be really bad to say, but I'm all these woke people should be really happy. Elliot Page just dies straight out of the gate. That's the first thing that happens in the movie, But I think really interesting seeing that character kind of brought through the story of the film and kind of being important to Odysseus and his story, and tying back to Robert Pattinson's character as well. I think the death, talking to them in the afterlife, that moment is really cool. So I thought it was really.
Well, I think the thing with Elliot Page shows up and dies within 2 seconds. You're like, man, that's some quick, they were hired to go out super fast. But then once obviously the Hades stuff happens, it's like, well, no, you needed an actor of substance to deliver that scene. Anyone could have played the opening scene, but you need that character to come back. So, yeah.
Yes. And be memorable. So that I think that's the other thing. They put important actors in roles that were important, so they would be memorable. So when you're talking about a film, even if you don't remember the character's name, you remember who the actor is. I think that subconsciously is part of the story.
The only casting I'm that was pointless is whatever the actual big head, whatever dude, I don't remember his name, but Benny Safdie plays him. I'm did that need to be Benny Safdie?
I also feel like Benny Safdie is obscure enough that was fine. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it was more maybe body shape, although
he ain't that
I'm
big.
sure they could have gotten a short person in there to do,
Yeah.
He was an imposing figure.
He was an imposing figure, but that ain't him. He ain't that big in real life.
Yeah. Well, this movie does a hell of a lot of stuff with scale and perspectives and that kind of stuff. I think Charlize Theron is good in her little role. Cersei, obviously, she's
Cersei,
inconsequential
she's
kind of the story. No,
Calypso,
Calypso.
isn't
Sorry,
it? Cersei,
Calypso.
that actress
Cersei
is
Samantha
fantastic.
Morton. I think I've written down a bunch of key scenes I want to talk about in a bit, but yeah, Charlize Theron, she's good, in that sequence. Just kind of a framing device. And then Zendaya, I guess, is the other big name who shows up. But we'll get into that in a bit. What did you think? Obviously, a lot of this done practically. And I'll tell you, having gone to see Moana live action recently, and seen this movie on the fucking water, night and day. It just goes to show you can't fake that kind of stuff. Like seeing them in the water, I'm sure they were actually in the ocean somewhere, even if it was closed off, and they were really getting hit by waves and dealing with water and that kind of stuff. And it showed. This is cool. Everything looks fantastic.
I think the testament to that sort of conversation is always the fact that James Cameron, as much as he pushes for technology moving forward and does the Avatar movies and shit, he's still filming those bloody underwater scenes in a tank.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's like, yeah, there's still an element of you need to do stuff properly. The film looks phenomenal. I think that every single thing, including like the fantasy elements, looked real and fucked up and scary. But like, there's just a consistent gritty realness to everything, and it's shot beautifully. I don't have certain shot versus now in front of me, but everything just looks like, I don't know. It's very raw. It's not too brown either.
Who did? He did Oppenheimer as well. So
yeah, there you go. Obviously, and there's an element of more skill needed to shoot everything with these IMAX cameras. Just they're much the wider lens capture and all that, and allowing them to show in IMAX and not in IMAX as well. Take everything into account. But yeah, I think everything looks fantastic. The costumes all look great. I know everyone was complaining about the armor from the get-go. I don't think a single thing looked bad to me.
I feel like this movie is really effective at... We had all this discussion about in like the tiny details and being real historically accurate and that kind of stuff. As soon as the movie starts, you just get caught up in the world and all that kind of fades away. Like you completely forget about the race thing, the armor thing, all that kind of stuff. And I think the movie also plays into that at no point we're fucking Greek. This is a Greek world. It's like there's very specific places mentioned, but other than that, it could be any time, any world. You know what I mean?
I don't think at any point the movie attempts to be realistic or think of itself as a historical epic or anything like that. It knows it's a fantasy movie. And I really sort of appreciated that at no point do the characters freak out about any of the fantastical elements or even talk about them in a weird way that they do sometimes in fantasy elements, fantasy movies or TV shows. It's just like they're a thing that exists and they they just accept it. They may not have ever seen it before, but it's like they've heard tales or poems or songs or what have you, and they just accept it. So you do as an audience.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, like I think most of the effects and that kind of stuff, like the Listigonians, the giant dudes who show up, that all looks really cool. Like even the tree effects and that kind of thing. We'll get into the Cersei stuff. The only thing that I think didn't look great was the monster at the end that takes them after the whirlpool. That didn't look super impressive. But other than that, I think this movie looks beautiful.
I don't even know what that thing was, to be honest.
It's again, bring it back to Hades 2. It's like the second or third villain that you fight, the boss that you fight when you're going down.
It's the second villain with all the tentacle things and whatever.
All the tentacle things, yeah.
Yeah, gotcha.
Except
everything ties back to yeah. I don't know. I was like, is this a spider with? I don't know, but yeah, that makes sense if it's that.
Yeah. So, all right. I'll run through a few key moments from the film. Obviously, the plot has not come up to our number one movie resource yet because it's not Wikipedia because it's not.
We're so early.
Released. We're so early. Yeah. those Wikipedia writers haven't gotten to this movie yet. The whole Polyphemus and the Cyclops sequence, with the fucking sheep in the cave. You know, Nolan talked about wanting to make a horror movie. I think this is the closest thing he's made so far.
Yeah, no, it's really tense. It looks. I appreciated the design of the Cyclops. I think because it looks like you can tell it's a Cyclops, but also it doesn't look like a Cyclops that I've seen before. There's a slightly different element to it. I appreciated sort of the humanizing of it, or like still treating it like a creature at the end and having it call out to Poseidon after everything. But yeah, that whole scene, them like planning what to do, how to escape, them crawling out at the last moment and everything, and every time it like this is one time though where I was like, I felt like that scene, it's like it could have, like if they were willing to bump up the rating, but I know they wanted the PG-13 American rating, so it's like, but that scene felt like it deserved to be a bit more violent considering
it's a guy eating people.
Yeah,
it could have been a little bit of blood.
I'm not saying an R rating or anything, but it just felt like it was missing a little bit of blood or something. Yeah,
blood or sound. I think that's it.
Sound, yeah. Just I think it could have been grosser, and not in a like Dylan loves horror movies, everything has to be gross, but just that I felt like that character and monster, that scene, which was already tense. I think it could have been better if they had bumped up the level of violence and sound effects and just gone a bit further and wanting to creep out the audience.
Yeah. I really loved how that ended with, you know, I guess, I don't know whether it was on purpose or not, but probably the Polyphemus like spitting out the helmet, and like whichever way you want to look at it, that feels like the moment Odysseus like chooses to shoot him in the eye, which then sets up the rest of the movie, kind of the curse for Poseidon. But yeah, it was like one of those.
Like, was it the shooting him in the eye? Was it the fact they just burned his eye? Because that's when he calls out to Poseidon. So
were they fucked to begin with, or like?
I think they fucked it to begin with by burning him in the eye while he slept.
Well, it's interesting because obviously part of it is the dynamic with the crew, and like he slowly over the course of the film he loses the, you know, his respect with the crew or leader. His role as the leader kind of dips and waves throughout the movie, which is interesting. Had the Lestigonians down. That's a fucking intense fight. Like, it felt a little superhero-y, I guess. You know, the slaughter. I apologize.
Yeah,
it kind of felt superhero-y. Like, there's that one shot where one of the dudes like hits a tree and it explodes and that kind of stuff. And it was like, this feels a little bit like a superhero movie, but that was really cool. You know, obviously a lot of dead bodies after that.
You know, this movie actually has a lot of, I realized at that moment. And then later on, it's like, how many scenes in this movie has the remaining dwindling number of the boat crew running back to the boat across a beach? It happens like 4 times.
There's a lot of beach running in this movie.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck. He's like,
Tom Cruise would be proud.
He's like, damn, I miss shooting Dunkirk. That's what I did think of Dunkirk when I was watching those beach running scenes. So, next I have Cersei the Witch. This whole sequence and the fucking transformation, again, the horror vibes in this, with all the crew kind of unable to stop eating, okay, and their never-ending bowls.
Yeah, it was really gross, really effective. I think there was a good use of camera trickery to get the transformations done. You know, just typical like panning across the back and everything, but it worked.
Yeah, apparently all practical, done in camera.
Okay, well that's why the camera trickery was done then to allow them to do that, which makes sense. Yeah, it looked really good. But I think her performance also just was like what makes that whole scene as memorable. Like her talking to Hamish Patel's character through to Matt Damon later, and just her screaming on about them being gluttonous pigs, basically, and old men, and you know they would have raped and murdered me and stuff like that. Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting because it kind of foreshadows a later reveal in the film about the kind of fighters they were. It's like, obviously, we don't get shown anything of Troy prior to this, but like when you go back to Troy later and they do treat people there like they
No,
treat. She
that's the
accuses
thing.
them of.
She's right.
She
I think
she sees them for what they are. Like I
She sees
think
them
the key
for
thing
that,
is
yeah.
like put your disguise back on is what she says. I think when she's
Yeah.
turning them back
Yeah, she does
into
say it,
humans. So
yeah, I think it's like a sort of it's a choice, good choice. It's like you see these people and you're rooting for them the whole time. But if we'd seen the full Battle of Troy from the start of the movie and what they did and how much they slaughtered ruthlessly, women, children alike, would you have felt as bad for them when they were starving and looking for food? Probably not.
no. Yeah. Also, all the big cats outside, like a mile. It's so like jarring considering it's in what we think of as Greece. Like having these, I guess you see the occasional lion in the Colosseum, but
yeah, she's just like she knows of every animal. She's just turning people into them.
Yeah,
starting their own zoo.
And the reveal, Matt Damon's reveal of like that kind of stuff, of killing the deer and then going back and seeing a human. That's really cool. Speaking to the dead, I think that was all really well shot and like put together, and a really cool sequence. Obviously, a lot of backstory revealed throughout that with Elliot Page and Benny Safdie appearing and revealing themselves, and then kind of Benny Safdie kind of setting up the last act of the film. I guess like you can't go home expecting everybody to be in love with you. gotta be careful. Your wife might stab you.
Yeah, was he saying come from the sky, not from the water or something like that? I don't know.
Yeah, something like that.
Sneaking basically says, but warns him not to expect open arms when he comes home. But that whole scene was really good, and I appreciated its take on Hades, I guess, as a location. Mm-hmm. Sort of just this. It's a place you can travel by boat rather than some traveling to the middle of the earth or some element like that. And also
the
thing
dead
was
wait there wanting to hear of other living people.
Other living people and just checking in on them. Yeah. I just sort of I couldn't help but give a little laugh at they put Benny Safdie on a fucking like a little running machine or escalator, or pulled him back on some ropes, because it's like when he finishes talking, he just like floats backwards.
That's good. Then I've got the Siege of Troy. So obviously we see bits and pieces throughout the film. I think the key one for me is John Bernthal's retelling of what it was like to be inside the horse, which is very different to this version of the horse. Looks very different to a lot of the ones that we know, or at least the ones I've seen throughout. I've been told about. You think it was a giant fucking rocking horse? That's what it was.
Yeah.
This one is
pushed up to the gates, and they were like, "Hey, I've got this gift. Oh, come in."
Yeah, no, they left.
And everyone's
just
sitting inside with all their swords and armor, and they're very comfortable. And it's not gross, or they're not pissing and shitting on each other at all.
Yeah, no. So seeing this version was really cool. And then the eventual escape into Troy to release open the doors, I guess, to the city.
The gate opening sequence was tense and good.
Yeah.
With them like all the soldiers, the Troy soldiers running in, and them like winding it back, just getting it open at pretty much the exact right moment. But again, it teases you, because we see that, and then it cuts away when John Bernthal's talking it, and he's still, after all that, you're still like this big heroic thing. They've come in the horse row. It's not until later in the movie that you still get to see them actually slaughter everyone, and Matt Damon looking around going, "What have I done?"
Yeah. So I mean,
the Troy sequence is start of the movie, middle of the movie, and like pretty much near the end of the movie. Like it's broken up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, that brings it to Odysseus talking to Penelope through the guard gate or whatever, pretending to be a beggar, and kind of telling why he didn't want to come home, the guilt he feels about breaking Zeus's law, taking this moment, this offering to Athena, and kind of tainting it. And then we see them pillaging and killing any person in Troy. We also get here the reveal of Athena, who is been seen through the entire movie, and it's actually revealed that she was one of the people in Troy that gets killed. Which I think is a really interesting reveal. That obviously, I think it's interesting because throughout the movie, he mentioned several times we shouldn't look for the gods in people, which is something that Tom Holland does a few times. It's like, you've got wise eyes like the gods and that kind of stuff. And to this person he's been imagining talking to him or helping him remember what he did, I guess, is actually a victim of his actions. I think that, I guess, all of us have been interpreting as a god.
Well, he says it's a
I
thing.
guess, what is your interpretation of Zendaya in this movie?
I don't have a solidified thought because I have option A, which is that, and look, someone could be like, well, in the book it's this. I'm like, that's fine. I haven't read the book, bro. But
I should point out, in Homer's
Odyssey
version of the story, the gods are much more heavily involved in like moving pieces around. Hermes comes down and helps Odysseus at certain points. The gods are very much removed from this telling of the Odyssey. So
I'm like, either A, it's a haunting memory of someone that was slaughtered there that he just keeps seeing to help, as you're saying, as this like fractured memory thing to help him see. However, he does consistently say and talk to her as she's Athena, and she talks back to him as he refers to her
she's
as
Athena.
And that makes me able. I don't think it's that then. I think she actually is Athena, which then I then rethought about the scene afterwards, and was like, I think it's not actually her getting a slit throat, because it's you see the shot of Zendaya on the floor with the sword to her, and then right as the sword cuts her throat, it cuts to the statue of Athena falling. So now I'm like, I don't think it's actually meant to be a person they killed. It's rather, it's the fact that they cut the statue, like they
cut the statue, and he's imagining that as if it's a real person.
Well, it's just like, it can't be. It's like rude to the gods or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, he's dishonored Athena. They went through this because Troy all are aligned to Athena. They're all aligned to Zeus or whatever. I mean, they're all aligned to the gods in general, but they all have a main one, I guess. But yeah, that's how I took it. It's like just the way that was cut. That it was actually Athena, and it was just she's come along this journey with him because she was so close to to Troy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I don't know how I feel. I think you could take it as he's just seeing this person and has then implied that they are Athena. I don't know. I don't know how I feel. I'm excited to see people's interpretations because I feel like that's one of the more interesting ones. Just because the world is so grounded. I say when we've already just talked about witches and turning people into pigs and fucking Cyclops. Last thing I've got here is I've called it the archery test, but I guess it's like the final act of the film of Penelope saying, hey, I'm going to remarry somebody if you can do this task that Odysseus used to do in his youth. And it's a really cool fucking reveal, you know? It's this cool moment that like has been kind of set up through tiny moments throughout the film where it's like, back in the day, he would, have this bow that he would string. He was the only one who could do it. And then, he would he loves to strum that bow to like warn people so they can have a fair fight. And when he's fucking strings that bow, shoots that arrow through all those axes, starts shooting everybody. That's fucking wild. Great conclusion to this movie.
Corey Hawkins just goes down first, like sucker spuds.
Deservedly.
Yeah, it's really cool seeing. You'd love to see a hero in disguise reveal himself in an epic way. And this is sort of, very much that. It just makes you feel good when he finally shoots it through, and then everyone reacting, including Robert Pattinson, being like, "Oh my god, it's him!" And he tries to run,
hiding like a little bitch,
the entire time. My favorite thing about the fight that ensues, I mean, it's a good fight. Obviously, it's him versus a multitude of many, 30 people probably. I really enjoyed that throughout the fight, just seeing people give up and kneel down. Thank you, flight operator. That people kneeling down as they go, I thought added a lot to it and was cool. And then I thought the other thing that was just making me laugh, and the fact that they did it, it was like every time that guy threw down a new weapon or something full of, they made sure they didn't just do it once. They had to do it with every single time. Cut to
3 or 4
Robert
times,
Pattinson
yes.
go, sword, get the sword. Come back, shield, get the shield. Javelin, get the spear, javelin, like every single time. And I was like, that is a commitment to be like, no, we're not going to just have him yell at once. We're going to come back to make sure we have he commentates on every single thing that's thrown down from that hole.
We want to really establish that he is a little bitch and is not going to fight and does not want to get into a physical altercation with anybody. He's just ordering everybody else around, despite them all technically being the same level as Suda.
Yeah, and he's such a little bitch that he couldn't even attempt to string the bow. He's just like, look, we all know we can't do it. We all suck. Just pick one of us anyway.
Yeah.
Hey.
Robert Pattinson, we haven't really talked about him, but he is such a great manipulative little bitch. And just the scene that he does have with Anne Hathaway where he's just talking about, you need to quit fucking stalling. We know that you've been I know that you've been undoing your looms this entire time. And each day when you're working, you undo it at night.
Thanks to Mia Goth.
Thanks to Mia Goth. Another, maybe a little bit of stunt casting, but I think really, if Christopher Nolan asks you to be in the movie, he's going to say yes, which is the thing. So I'm sure he's like, hey, she would be really cool, even for this tiny part. So, yeah, just having that whole conclusion and the ultimate reunion between Penelope and Odysseus is really heartwarming and enjoyable. The ending is fine, I guess, of them sailing away, I guess. How do you feel about the actual end?
Well, I mean, I don't know. Like, it gives you a happy ending. I think that the story always has a happy ending. It's like, does he deserve one? Is the question, I guess. But it's the structural hero's journey where he does get it. He does overcome and win at the end, and that's is what it is. I'm sure there's a different version of this where he does die, and it would make probably more sense. But it's fine. I don't think that
Penelope deserved a happy ending.
Penelope deserved a happy ending, sure, but I don't think it's a great ending. It's just it is what it is.
It is the ending of the story, as Homer intended, I guess. Only other thing I want to mention: the fucking dog, who he had as a pup, and then grew up and stayed alive as long as he possibly could, just so he could see his master one more time. And that's the moment that Tom Holland realizes is his father. Fucking beautiful.
Yeah, the tail just
tail wagging that little bit
enough,
and then
stays alive literally till he gets to see his master, and then gives out
because
at that point.
Fucking Robert Pattinson dumps him outside.
Yeah, on a pile of shit.
I will say, before seeing the movie, I saw a post like, "Animal lovers, beware! The dogs are calm to the start of this movie." It's like, okay. I guess in this history, like, they didn't have enough resources to take care of all these dogs, so they would euthanize
them by chucking them off a cliff. Yeah.
Yes. So only one got thrown. So I mean it's not that bad.
Fall to their, like, you see him chuck him, but it's not like it's not played for
laughs. It's not played for laughs.
Yeah, but also it doesn't cut the camera over the cliff of a dog falling to its doom. Like, it's just Yeah,
so I don't think it's that bad for dog lovers. Any other moments or things you want to talk about?
Don't think so. I don't know. I'm interested to see. Obviously, Australia sort of got this one first, as pace goes with the best movies. It'll be interesting to see what people's reactions are generally as it comes out. But yeah, I think this is obviously going to be one of the biggest movies of the year. I think it lived up to the hype. It's especially the way I watched it. Very, very happy that I got to see it that way. It's just such an epic movie that, seeing it on such a big fuck off screen just only adds to the scale of it. 3 hours of it is draining a bit, I'll say, of the the scale and the movie plus the scale of which I watched it. By the end of the 3 hours, I was feeling tired. But yeah, it was really good. Also, side note, I forgot to mention it before. They showed, I think, about 5 minutes of Doom Part 3 at the start of my screening.
Ooh.
Which, that
Thoughts?
was cool. Yeah,
What do you want to say that
it
before
was,
we watch?
no, I mean, it wasn't a lot, but I can talk about what you watch. But yeah, that was cool because usually I don't get to, when they attach things, but then you have to see them in IMAX or usually stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like when it pops up, it's like, it says like, with great love to, or something like, with great love to Christopher Nolan, I now show you a first glimpse of Doom Part 3, Denis Villeneuve. And then it cuts straight to like 5 minutes of the movie. I was like, oh, that's cool to see. Like,
Yeah.
this is better than some bullshit trailers, mate.
You got my money for Doom 3. Yeah. Really enjoyed the film. Excited to hear and talk about it. Are you keen to go see it again? Like, I enjoyed it, but I'm not desperate to watch it again. You know what I mean?
I'm not desperate to watch it. I might go see it again before it leaves the cinema, only because I do think I've watched it the best way I possibly can. I do think that cinema is still going to be the way to watch it. Once it's out of the cinema, watching this at home is just going to feel like dog shit in comparison to either IMAX or normal cinema viewing. So I think if you're going to watch it and enjoy it, go see it. Because I don't care how good of a TV or sound system you have. It's not going to parallel, so I might go see it again, maybe towards the end of its run.
Well, one last thing. Was it just me, or were the credits like really dark? Like blue on black? Really that's dark. Not really. Yeah, it's
were
kind of
faint. Yeah, they were faint, and I'm not sure what the choice was on that, but I mean, it was legible. Also, shout outs that just reminded me, a credit start. First, it's like cast in order of appearance. First person, Soldier, Travis Scott. I'm like, okay. And then he's got like a song playing in the credits. Yeah, but it's like Travis Scott is the first credited person in Christopher Nolan's Odyssey. There you go.
Yeah. All right, let us know what you thought of the Odyssey by going to explosionnetwork.com/follow and let us know on social media. If you want to help us out here at What Do You Want to Watch, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or on Podchaser. Leave us 5 stars and leave 5 stars, or just tell people about the show. And if you want to help us out at Explosion Network, where you will probably be able to find Dylan's review at some point, or with our other podcasts, head over to explosionnetwork.com/support. Thank you very much for listening. Until next time, keep watching stuff, I guess.
No one could stand between me